Have you ever watched a river? Sometimes the water moves in a smooth, glassy sheet, and other times, it's a tumbling, chaotic mess of splashes and swirls. This is the perfect way to start thinking about fluid flow. Fluids, which include liquids like water and gases like the air around us, don't always move in the same way. They have two main dances they can do: a very orderly, predictable dance called laminar flow, and a wild, energetic one called turbulent flow. Understanding these two types of movement is like having a secret decoder ring for the world of physics and engineering. It helps us understand everything from how airplanes fly to how our own blood moves through our bodies. So, how do we know which dance a fluid will do? Scientists and engineers use a special secret code, a magical number called the Reynolds number. Imagine this number as a fortune teller for fluids. By looking at a few key things: how fast the fluid is moving, how thick or goopy it is, which is called viscosity, and the size of the pipe or channel it's flowing through, we can calculate the Reynolds number. This number tells us whether the flow is likely to be smooth and laminar, chaotic and turbulent, or somewhere in between. It's an incredibly powerful tool that helps us predict the fluid's behavior without having to see it first. Think of the Reynolds number like a speed limit sign for fluids. When the number is low, it's like the fluid is driving slowly and carefully in its own lane. All the little particles of the fluid move in straight, parallel paths, never crossing over. This is our calm, predictable laminar flow. But as the fluid speeds up or the pipe gets bigger, the Reynolds number gets higher. It's like the traffic is getting faster and more crowded. Eventually, it passes a critical point, and the smooth, orderly flow can no longer hold itself together. It's a bit like a calm conga line suddenly breaking out into a wild mosh pit. This transition from smooth to chaotic is one of the most fascinating parts of fluid mechanics. There isn't just a simple on-off switch between laminar and turbulent. There's a messy middle ground, a transition region, where the flow is unstable. It might have moments of smooth sailing, but then it will burst into little puffs of turbulence. It's like the fluid can't make up its mind. This unpredictability makes the transition region tricky for engineers, but it also shows us how a simple, orderly system can suddenly give way to beautiful, complex chaos, all governed by the invisible laws of physics and that one special number. Let's dive into the world of laminar flow. The word laminar comes from laminae, which means layers. That's the perfect description. In laminar flow, you can imagine the fluid moving as a series of thin layers, or sheets, sliding smoothly over one another. Each layer stays in its own lane and doesn't mix with the layers above or below it. If you were to put tiny drops of dye into a clear, laminar flow, you would see them travel in straight, unbroken lines. It's the picture of order and predictability. This happens when the fluid is moving slowly, or when the fluid itself is very thick and viscous, like honey or syrup. The physics behind this smooth behavior is all about viscosity. Viscosity is a measure of a fluid's resistance to flowing, its stickiness. In a highly viscous fluid like honey, the strong internal friction between the fluid's molecules dampens out any disturbances. The molecules want to stick together more than they want to fly around randomly. This internal friction acts like a gentle hand, guiding all the fluid particles along their parallel paths. That's why slowly pouring honey from a jar is a perfect everyday example of laminar flow. You can see the thick golden stream moving as one smooth, unbroken column. You can find laminar flow in many places if you know where to look. The slow, gentle flow of groundwater through the tiny spaces in soil and rock is laminar. The movement of blood through our tiniest blood vessels, the capillaries, is also laminar. In the world of engineering, it's crucial for things that require precision, like the manufacturing of fiber optic cables or in certain chemical mixing processes where you don't want things to get jumbled up. Even the flow of air over a very carefully designed wing at low speeds can be laminar, which helps reduce drag. It's the quiet, efficient, and orderly side of the fluid world. When we look at the speed of the fluid in a pipe with laminar flow, we see something interesting called a velocity profile. The fluid right at the walls of the pipe is basically stopped because of friction. It has zero velocity. But as you move toward the center of the pipe, each layer moves a little faster than the one outside of it. The fluid in the very center is moving the fastest. If you were to graph this, it would look like a perfect, rounded parabola. This clean, predictable parabolic shape is a classic signature of laminar flow and is very different from what we see in its wilder cousin, turbulence. Now let's make some waves and talk about turbulent flow. If laminar flow is a calm, orderly parade, then turbulent flow is a chaotic, swirling festival. In turbulent flow, the fluid particles don't stay in neat layers. Instead, they move in a random, jumbled and unpredictable way. They spin and tumble, creating countless tiny whirlpools and eddies. If you were to add dye to a turbulent flow, it wouldn't form a straight line. Instead, it would instantly disperse and mix into the fluid, creating a cloudy, chaotic pattern. This is what you see when you turn a faucet on full blast or watch a river rushing through rapids. The physics behind turbulence is incredibly complex. In fact, it's one of the biggest unsolved problems in classical physics. But we know the basics. It happens when the fluid's inertia, its tendency to keep moving, overpowers its viscosity or its internal stickiness. Think of it this way. The fluid is moving so fast that the molecules can't hold on to each other anymore. Any tiny bump or imperfection in the pipe causes a small disturbance. In laminar flow, viscosity would smooth that disturbance out. But in turbulent flow, that small wiggle grows and snowballs, creating a cascade of chaotic eddies and vortices that spread throughout the entire fluid. Turbulence is everywhere in our daily lives. It's actually much more common in nature and engineering than laminar flow. The smoke billowing from a chimney, the churning water behind a moving boat, and the gusty wind on a stormy day are all fantastic examples of turbulence. Even mixing sugar into your coffee with a spoon is an act of creating turbulence. You are intentionally introducing chaotic motion to help the sugar dissolve and mix more quickly. This enhanced mixing is one of the most important features of turbulent flow, and it's something engineers use to their advantage all the time. Just like with laminar flow, we can look at the velocity profile for turbulent flow in a pipe, but it looks very different. Because of all the chaotic mixing, the speed of the fluid is much more uniform across the center of the pipe. Instead of a sharp-pointed parabola, the velocity profile for turbulent flow is much flatter and fuller, almost like a trapezoid. There's still a very thin layer near the walls where the flow slows down dramatically. But for most of the pipe's width, the fluid is moving at a consistently high speed. This flatter profile is a direct result of the energetic eddies mixing the fluid from the center to the edges. So we have these two flow types, smooth and chaotic. But why does it matter so much to engineers? One of the biggest reasons is heat transfer. How well a fluid can carry heat from one place to another is incredibly important for designing everything from car engines to computer processors. To measure this, we use another special number called the Nusselt number. You can think of the Nusselt number as a report card for heat transfer. It compares how much heat is transferred by the moving fluid, which we call convection, to how much would be transferred if the fluid were just sitting still, or conduction. A higher Nusselt number means better heat transfer. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The type of flow has a huge impact on the Nusselt number. In laminar flow, heat can only move from one layer to the next very slowly, mostly by conduction. The layers act like insulation, preventing the heat from spreading quickly. This results in a very low Nusselt number and poor heat transfer. But in turbulent flow, everything changes. Those chaotic eddies and whirlpools act like tiny, energetic couriers. They grab heat from a hot surface and physically carry it away, mixing it throughout the fluid much, much faster. This results in a much, much higher Nusselt number. This difference is not small, it's gigantic. Switching from laminar to turbulent flow can increase the rate of heat transfer by 5, 10, or even more times. This is the secret behind so many technologies that need to stay cool. Think about the radiator in a car. It uses a fan and a pump to make sure the coolant fluid is flowing turbulently through the narrow passages. This turbulence is essential for pulling heat away from the hot engine and transferring it to the air as quickly as possible. Without the enhanced heat transfer from turbulence, our car engines would overheat in minutes. This principle is the foundation of modern cooling systems. The powerful fans inside your gaming computer are not just there to blow air. They are there to create turbulent airflow over the hot processor and graphics card. The fins on the back of a powerful stereo amplifier or an industrial machine are designed to trip the air flowing over them into turbulence. In these cases, engineers intentionally design systems to operate in the turbulent regime. They embrace the chaos. By understanding the dance between laminar and turbulent flow, we can perform engineering magic, using the wild energy of turbulence to build faster, more powerful, and more efficient technologies.